completely amazing to me that it's 20 years since we first came to this valley. And although there are different institutions and projects that have arrived, really the first part of it was the place, was Lyndoch, the place. The initial intention was partly to do with creating and being part of something radical and progressive, because our country was a brand new democracy. And it seemed so important that in a local, tiny little postage stamp of a place, that different people took different responsibility to make something different.
The origins of the Sustainability Institute lie in the work that Eve and I did at Wits University, and we were teaching about public leadership, and it became increasingly clear that we needed to broaden our understanding of leadership to include not just development and governance, but also sustainability. So we came to Stellenbosch, and supported by the Eindhovens, we evolved the idea of the Sustainability Institute.
There were a whole lot of issues, community issues around, which we had to deal with. Mark and Eve were very involved at Spur, and Mark was keen to set up, well, they were keen to set up the Leadership Institute.
In 1994, I'm a councillor for ANC, and then I met Mark Swelling. He came to me for the ANC meeting and asked me if I would want to be part of Lyndoch Development.
When we came, there had already been a relationship built with the local school. And so the idea was to create a new school.
The local school, which was the worst school in the whole of the Western Cape, which was based on some farmer in prefab buildings over there. And he'd given notice the school had to move, so the school had nowhere to go.
And then we decided to give the children a proper and a decent school.
We also had a performing arts company, and they needed a space where they could rehearse. And this property came up for sale. So we saw that it would answer three questions. One, we could put a base for the Leadership Institute as it was then. Two, we could convert the building that is next door into the school. And three, we could create the hall to work for both the school and the Performing Arts Company.
Before we set up the Institute, we created a little property development company, because it became very obvious that this strange, at then broken down but wonderful place of Lyndoch was going to be the place where the school was going to be. And so securing the land, being called to this land, this spot, and saying what are the greatest challenges, how could we meet those, meant that we created a tiny little property development, a non-profit property development company called Lyndoch Development.
I was part of Lyndoch Development. We started with the school, building the new school, and then we built the houses. A lot of people need their own houses. So I was one of that people who need a house of my own for my family. We also started a housing program here, and this one get through.
The Institute became defined as part of an evolving, emergent, not very clearly defined sense of an eco-village or the school for poor kids from the surrounding farms. Gradually, the Institute became the key animator of that process, and the learnings from that, coupled to our own academic knowledge, resulted in the idea of an educational program. We were influenced by the Schumacher College model in the UK and the Gorée Institute on Gorée Island off the coast of Senegal.
Experience at Schumacher College a very radical place, bringing together spirituality and ecology. Made us imagine what would be the kind of degree and learning program that would underpin particularly young adults coming out into the world to imagine a world where they too could create different worldviews. They too could be part of a country that was changing itself and changing itself to meet the needs of massive tectonic upheavals with climate change.
I was appointed as a professor at Stellenbosch University, and they said to me, so we're going to appoint you as a professor, what are you going to do? And I said, we're going to start a new master's program in sustainable development.
The imaginings, the imaginal, wasn't any fixed outcome, but it was incredibly committed individuals around a vision yet to emerge that somehow wove together transformative learning, transgressive learning, learning that shook at the roots, so radical learning, with children and then young adults, and then also right into whoever wanted to come.
I was the person who bought the property with those very clear objectives in mind and had absolutely not the smallest idea that you guys would take it and bring it to what you have now. I mean, it's just absolutely extraordinary what you've done.
The origins of place, of Lyndoch as a place, can't be separated from what has then become the Sustainability Institute and what became Lyndoch Eco Village.
It's child center first, children come first. So it's a loving and learning environment. So people come here and then they come and learn, but they also see what's happening in real life.
There was, if you like, a founding energy, an energy of the joy of creativity, working with small groups of people that were committed to something different.
It just shows you start something and you get the right people. It's all about the people at the end of the day. And the people have got the vision and the passion. This can happen.